It's 1009 p.m. Eastern Time, April 23, 2013. On the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, the hum of conversation stops dead. Traders stare at their Bloomberg terminals, watching something that shouldn't be possible. The S&P 500 line chart, normally a jagged horizontal crawl, has just drawn a straight vertical red line downward. $136.5 billion is evaporating in real time. Nobody has pressed a button. Nobody has made a decision. The machines are selling and they won't stop. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plunges 143.5 points. Crude oil drops $1 per barrel. Berkshire Hathaway shares hemorrhage value despite having zero connection to anything happening in Washington. Traders shout a single question: is it real? Television screens show nothing. CNBC hasn't reported anything. CNN is silent. But the algorithms have read something the humans haven't. They've already acted. And by the time anyone figures out what triggered this, fortunes will have already been destroyed. The source of this financial catastrophe? 12 words. Hosted 2 minutes ago. By 1:13 p.m., the market will have fully recovered, but the world will have learned something terrifying about the infrastructure of modern finance, about how fast trust can be weaponized, about what happens when machines panic faster than humans can think. 2 hackers in Syria are about to become some of the most wanted men in America, and a social media company is about to learn the cost of ignoring a security flaw they knew existed. The Syrian Electronic Army didn't start with the Associated Press. That would come later as the grand finale. They were hackers, but not the kind you're imagining. No zero-day exploits. No elegant code injection. Ahmed Alaga and Firas Dardar were social engineers, experts in the oldest hack of all, human trust. They supported President Bashar al-Assad, and they viewed Western media as propaganda machines biased against the Syrian regime. Their weapon wasn't sophistication. It was patience. Their calling card was a simple sign-off: expect us. In the week before the crash, April 16 through 22, 2013, they ran a systematic phishing campaign against major news organizations. CBS fell, NPR fell, the BBC fell. Each breach followed the same pattern: emails disguised as colleagues, subject lines reading News or Washington Post or simply Hello. Inside, a link to a credential harvester domain structured like legitimate news sites but slightly off. Designed to look safe in a moment of distraction, days before hitting the AP, they'd compromised The Onion. The satirical news site responded with a headline: Syrian Electronic Army has a little fun before inevitable upcoming deaths at hands of rebels. It was a bizarre warning. Nobody connected it to what was coming. The trap was old school, almost embarrassingly simple. And it worked every time. But there was one target that would prove different. One organization whose breach wouldn't just compromise a Twitter account, but would expose a fundamental vulnerability in the global financial system. The Associated Press had 1.9 million Twitter followers and something more valuable: a blue verified badge. That checkmark meant authority. When the AP reported breaking news, the world believed it, including the machines. Twitter in 2013 had a problem it refused to fix. Two-factor authentication technology existed. The code was written. The system was ready. But the company had made a calculation. Implementing 2FA would create user experience friction. It would slow down signups. It would add steps to login flows. Growth would suffer, so they waited. They watched Burger King's Twitter account get hacked earlier that year. They'd seen Jeep compromised. Each time a spokesperson released the same statement: we are constantly working to improve security. No SMS verification, no hardware keys, just passwords. Steal the password, own the account. A single point of failure connected to one of the most trusted news brands on earth, and someone was about to exploit it. By 2013, high-frequency trading algorithms had evolved beyond simple price triggers. They could scrape text. They could parse meaning from Reuters feeds, Bloomberg terminals, and increasingly Twitter's data fire hose. The technology was called news analytics. Feed the algorithm thousands of historical news items, train it to recognize patterns, teach it which words correlate with market movements, then let it trade on that information in milliseconds faster than any human could read, comprehend, and decide. Specific keyword combinations triggered specific actions. Explosions plus White House plus Obama equaled one output: sell everything. The algorithms weren't paranoid. They were following the only logic they understood. Political instability equals market risk. The optimal move, if the President of the United States had been injured in a terrorist attack, was to dump holdings immediately. The algorithms were watching Twitter. The humans didn't know they'd already lost control. April 23, 12:15 p.m. An AP staffer receives an email. The subject line is unremarkable. The sender appears to be a colleague. Inside is a link. The staffer clicks. 12:40 p.m. Someone mentions suspicious emails internally. The warning travels through the organization, but containment fails. The credential harvester has already done its work. Usernames and passwords flow back to Ahmed Al-Agha and Firas Dardar. 12:45 p.m. The hackers test the access. It works. They're inside. They compose their message carefully. It needs to be believable. The nation is still traumatized. 8 days earlier, on April 15th, bombs detonated at the Boston Marathon. Americans are primed to believe in explosions. Fear is fresh. The lie needs to exploit that wound. They write 12 words. They make one small error that human editors will later notice. They capitalize two in two explosions. AP style strictly dictates numeral usage in specific contexts. The phrasing is slightly off. Copy editors would catch this tell instantly, but copy editors aren't writing trading algorithms. 1007:50 p.m. The tweet posts, breaking: 2 explosions in the White House and Barack Obama is injured. The stark red AP logo sits next to the text. The blue checkmark of verification. Trust and lie side by side. 1007 p.m. The algorithms scrape the text. Risk parameters breached. Somewhere in server farms in New Jersey and Chicago and data centers built for speed, the machines make their decision. No human oversight, no verification check. The keywords match threat parameters. Sell. 1083 p.m. The S&P 500 begins its freefall. The algorithms dump stock, triggering other algorithms. Stop-loss orders activate automatically. If a position drops past a threshold, sell immediately. Ask questions later. The waterfall becomes a cascade. Machines selling to machines. 1019. Confusion on the NYSE floor. Screens are red. Televisions show nothing unusual. There's a gap, a terrifying 60-second window where the algorithms are trading on information humans can't yet access. Twitter speed versus broadcast speed. The machines are living in the future and they're burning it down. Mike Baker, an AP correspondent, knows something is wrong. He's looking at the internal wire where every AP story flows before public release. There's no story about White House explosions. There's no breaking news alert. The tweet came from the official account, but the journalism doesn't exist. 1009:45 p.m. Mike Baker tweets from his personal account, "The AP hack is real." Sam Hannanel types, "Please ignore AP tweet on explosions, we've been hacked." Human voices against algorithmic certainty. 1010:05 p.m. The market is still falling. 1:10:05 p.m. White House Press Secretary Jay Carney is mid-briefing when a reporter reads him the tweet. The room goes silent. Carney responds, "I was with the president. Physical proof. Human verification. The explosion never happened, but the information has to travel back now. From the briefing room to Twitter, to the news wires, to the data feeds, to the algorithms." 1:12 p.m. Twitter suspends the main AP account. 1013 p.m. The markets bounce back to pre-crash levels. The chart shows a V-shape, straight down, straight up. The recovery is complete, but not everyone recovered. Any trader whose stop-loss triggered at 1:09 p.m., whose positions were automatically sold at the bottom, is locked out of the rebound. The market climbed without them. The machines sold their holdings at the worst possible moment, then watched those same holdings regain value in someone else's portfolio. The recovery meant nothing to them. They'd been ejected from their positions by their own protective mechanisms. Safety features turned self-destruct sequences. That afternoon, the Syrian Electronic Army claims responsibility. They're proud. They've exposed something, though they may not fully understand what. April 24th. The FBI opens a criminal investigation. May 22, 2013. Twitter finally announces the rollout of two-factor authentication. The company frames it as a proactive security enhancement. The timing speaks for itself. The technology they'd had ready for months, the friction they'd wanted to avoid, is suddenly mandatory. March 2016. The U.S. Department of Justice charges Firas Dardar and Ahmed Al-Agha with conspiracy to commit computer fraud. Their aliases, The Shadow and 3PRIO, are added to the FBI's Cyber Most Wanted list. Both men are believed to be in Syria. No extradition has occurred. The hackers who triggered a global market collapse with 12 words remain free. The SEC re-examined the market access rule regarding algorithm safeguards. The event forced uncomfortable questions. If a verified Twitter account could trigger a financial cascade, what else could? How fast was too fast when machines could panic faster than humans could think? The verified badge had carried weight because it meant identity confirmed. The AP was really the AP. But the algorithms interpreted that checkmark differently. They couldn't distinguish between this account belongs to who it claims and this information is accurate. That distinction, obvious to humans, was invisible to the machines. The fake tweet was sent via web client, meaning the hackers logged in through a browser. Two individuals, sitting somewhere with an internet connection, composed a single sentence and watched it detonate across global markets. The claim, Obama was injured. The reality, Obama was safe in the White House. The financial world was the one that bled. The explosion was real, just not where the tweet said. It happened in portfolios, in index funds, in retirement accounts that watched their values plummet and recover before their owners even knew to check. Ahmed Al-Agha and Firas Dardar had sent taunting messages to other victims during their campaign. We have the username and password for all your accounts. They weren't sophisticated programmers. They were patient hunters who understood something profound. The weakest link in any security system isn't the encryption or the firewall. It's the human who clicks the link because it looks legitimate enough. The tweet was live for approximately 3 minutes before suspension. In that window, it traveled through the nervous system of global finance and triggered a seizure. The market healed before the Associated Press could even regain control of their own account. Money moved faster than truth. The machines learned nothing from this. They still scan text. They still parse keywords. They still execute in milliseconds. The vulnerability wasn't patched because it can't be patched. Speed is the feature, not the bug. The trader who acts on information 1 second before the competition wins. The algorithm that waits for verification loses. So they still read social media. They still trust verified accounts because the alternative, being slow, being careful, being human, is death in high-frequency trading. We built a financial system that rewards speed over accuracy, then connected it to a social media platform that rewards engagement over truth, and acted surprised when 12 words from Damascus erased $136 billion in 120 seconds. The hash crash lasted 3 minutes. The question it asked remains unanswered. Who's really in control when the machines can panic faster than we